Good morning, friends. Today we'll be discussing Unit 7, Trade Union, its origin, structure, and functions. Actually, the Trade Union Act came into existence in the year 1926. It has defined trade union as any combination of individuals, whether it may be temporary or permanent, which is primarily formed for the purpose of regulating the relations between the workers and the employers, or for imposing restrictive conditions on the uh, condition of any trade or business, or it may include any federations or two or more unions. What they said, beta, there can be people coming together, maybe on temporary or permanent purpose, for the pursuit of a common goal, that too from the workers' side. The relation can be both from the employer side or between the employees. Now let us discuss what exactly it is like. It is an association of employees or employers or independent workers. It may be relatively permanent in nature, but sometimes some organizations or unions may come only for a specific period or temporary purpose, my dear friends. And it may be formed in order to secure certain benefits. It may be related with economical benefits like better wages, better working and living conditions, and so on. Or it may be regarding the social benefits like educational, recreational, medical, or so on. Sometimes people come together in order to show their collective strength so that they can show the strength so that they can get the things done within the organization. According to Sydney and Webb's, a trade union is a continuous association of wage earners for maintaining and improving their conditions at the workplace, my dear friends. Now, what are the principal purposes of labor unions? Let us discuss about that. For example, if there is only one pencil or one stick, it will be easily broken. But if there are 10 or more pencils, it will be very, very difficult for us to break that. The same way, when the people are going to work, and if they have any issue, if they take to the management individually, there are chances that their issues may not be considered. So people are going to form the trade unions to show their strength, to show their sympathy towards each other, and also fight for their rights, my dear friends. Now, the first purpose is to negotiate wages and working conditions, or the terms of working conditions, like what must be the time, what kind of facilities are available within the industry, and so on. So the first one is they want to negotiate about the wage and working conditions. The second purpose is to regulate relations between the workers and the employer. Sometimes we see that the employer, for no reason, they may simply remove the workers from the job, or else there may be some promotions or demotions, and so on, my dear friends. So, in order to regulate the relations, people may form these trade unions, and these are going to be very, very effective. The third one is take collective action to enforce the terms of collective. For example, the management has promised to implement some policies or something like, but in reality, it's only on paper, but these are not being implemented. So these people may build up the pressure on the government. Recently, you must have seen in Telangana, the RTC employees, they came onto the streets and they said that we are going for a strike, all the employees. And the state government has said that we are going to hire people and we are going to run. It's up to you whether you want to come to the job or not. And you know what happened, Beta? At the time, all the people, they tried to build up the pressure. And one person, one driver from Narsampet, Warangal, Narsampet district, he has put on he tried to self-immolate. And you know what happened? Later on, he was put to death and the government was forced to withdraw and say that we are going to look into your matter and we are going to solve or address your problems at the earliest. So these people will try to put on all the time. It is not need for the people to commit suicide, but all the people, if they are going to come together and fight, they can see that their requirements or the promises can be fulfilled. The next one is raise new demands on behalf of its members. What can be the new demands? You can see that in the Western countries, we have the paternity leave. In India, we have only maternity leave, but we don't have paternity leave. But in some private organizations, some of the employees are also requesting to introduce this paternity leaves. Why? Because even in the Indian society, the joint family system is being broken up into nuclear families, and even interreligious, intercaste, or love marriages are increasing, and there is no one to take care of the lady and the child. So, on that grounds, people are putting on new demands like paternity leave or the other like giving pick and drop facilities and so on. The last one is if there are any grievances within the organization, these grievances need to be addressed at the earliest. So, in each and every industry or in each and every organization, we are going to have grievance readdressal cell, which is going to help to address all these issues, my dear friends. So, these are the main purposes of any labor union. Now, let us discuss which comes under trade unions. A trade union represents only the interest of the people who are there in that organization. Okay. A general union which represents workers from several companies, we call it as industrial union. If the organization, if a trade union is going to work, represent only a company, then we call it as company union, my dear friends. If it is going to take different industries into account, and if they are going to work for their rights, then we call it as industrial union. Sometimes there are certain unions which represents only one skill or one art or one craft. Then we call it as a craft union. So we can have multiple trade unions, my dear friends, based on the requirement and so on, my dear friends. Now let us discuss about the origin of this trade union. Actually, this trade union came into existence between 1850s to 1900s. During this period, the growth of Indian capital enterprises, their living conditions, their working conditions have been changed, undergone tremendous changes. The labor were poor and the working hours were long. Capitalists were interested only in their productivity, how to increase the productivity and how to increase their profits. They were not interested about what is happening with the labor, what kind of facilities we need to provide, all these things. So in order to regulate these conditions, improve the conditions, my dear friends, the first Indian textile laborers or the Indian Factories Act was enacted in the year 1881. As a result, employment of child labor was prohibited. Lokande, organized like rickshawalas and so on, prepared a study report on their working conditions and submitted to the Factory Labor Commission. He is claimed, Lokande is claimed to be the father of the trade union movement in India. The Indian Factory Act of 1881 was later on amended after a decade in the year 1891, guided by educated philanthropists, social workers, and so on. Later on, small associations like Bombay Mills and associations came up. The second phase of this Indian trade movement falls between 1900 to 1947, almost 47 years. This phase is characterized by the development of organized trade unions and political movements of the working class. It also witnessed the emergence of militant trade unions. Like we have the Russian Revolution of 1917, the First World War, which took place between 1914 and 1918. This gave a new turn to the Indian trade union movement. In the year 1918, Wadia organized a trade union movement with textile mills in Madras. He served strike notice to them and workers appealed to the Madras High Court because under common law, strike is a breach of law. In 1919, Mahatma Gandhi suggested to let individuals struggle be a mass movement. In the year 1920, the first National Trade Union Organization, AITUC, All India Trade Union Congress, was established, and many of the leaders have taken part in the national movement. In the year 1926, trade union law came into existence with the efforts of Narayan Malhar Joshi, who is the General Secretary of All India Trade Union Congress from the year 1925 to 1929 and from the year 1942 1948. The third phase began with the emergence of independent India from 1947. The government seek the cooperation of the unions for planned economic development. The working class movement was also politicized among the lines of political parties. For instance, we have the Indian National Trade Union Congress, which is the trade union arm of the Congress Party. And then we have the Communist Party of India, which also has a trade union. There are around 17,000 trade unions in the country, including registered as well as unregistered unions, and more than 70 federations and co-federations registered under the Trade Unions Act of 1926. Though the number of unions have increased, the union membership per union has to be kept on pace. There is highly degree of unionization from 30% to 70%. Now let us discuss about some of the organizations. The first one is the Indian National Trade Union Congress. It was formed in the year 1947 by the then Congress Party. The leaders like Nehru, Patel were associated with INTUC. The main objective of this union was to adopt a peaceful means for the settlement of labor disputes. The government of India declared this union in 1948 as the most representative union in our country. It represented Indian labor organizations at the International Labor Organization. But the government of India has broken this monopoly and nominated a member of the Hind Mazdoor Sangh to represent the working class at the World Labour Meet at Geneva in the year 1979. It has strong roots in West Bengal, Assam, Gujarat, Maharashtra, as well as in Bihar, and among the industries like textile industries, tea, jute, transport, as well as mining industries. Now let us discuss about the All India Trade Union Congress, AITUC. This union came into existence in the year 1920 on the patterns of the British trade unions. It serves as a labor forum of the Communist Party of India. It is considered to be the second largest union in India. It has a stronghold in West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, United Andhra Pradesh, as well as in Punjab. The third one is the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh. We call it as BMS, which was formed in the year 1955. It is associated with Bharatiya Janata Sangh Party right now, which is BJP party, my dear friends. Then we have the Hind Mazdoor Sangh, which was formed in the year 1981 at Calcutta by the socialists, which was never approved either by the INTUC or AITUC. The Hind Mazdoor Sangh was organized with the view of keeping its members free from any political or outside interference. If we see all these earlier trade unions were influenced by certain political ideologies, either by the Congress or by the Communists or by the rightists and so on. But this Hind Mazdoor Sangh said that we don't require the support or the pressure or the influence of the political parties or the outside interference. It must be purely the interest of the members of the organization or industries. So these members, the members of this Hind Mazdoor Sangh, are from railways, cotton, textiles, coal mining, telephone department, and so on, my dear friends. Then we have the next one is United Trade Union Congress, UTUC, which was formed in the year 1949 by the people who did not wish to continue with the socialists. It functions mainly in Kerala, West Bengal, Bihar, and Tamil Nadu. Its political affiliation is with the left wing, nothing but the Communist Party, my dear friends. And we have the Central Indian Trade Union, which was formed in the year 1970. Now let us discuss about the structure and the types of trade unions in detail. The first one, the organizations can be classified into two types, my dear friends. One is the national federations, and the other one is the Federation of Unions. First, let us discuss the national federations. The national federations have all the trade unions in a given industry as their affiliated members. For example, think in Hyderabad, we have Wazir Sultano Tobacco Company, or else we have Telangana State Road Transport Corporation. In that, we have all AITUC, INTUC, we have Bharati Mazdoor Sangh, and so on. If all the unions are going to be part of this, then we call it as national federation. And irrespective of the industry to which it belongs, can join a national general national federation. Such federations are the apex of the trade union policies and have a national character. These central union organizations are national federations of labor based on different political ideologies, based on their political learnings. The affiliated trade unions in the field of labor relations. It may have militant policy or a policy of cooperation with the employers and the government, or a policy of continuous strife and litigation, and so on, my dear friends. The All India Federation of Trade Unions have a regular structure. For example, INTUC consists of the central organization, affiliated unions, industrial federation, regional branches, councils functioning under the direct control or supervision of central organization. The assemblies of delegates, the general council, and the working committees, all these are a part of the structure, my dear friends. The functions through its affiliated unions, delegates, assembly, general council, the working committees of the general council, and Pradesh bodies. This is the structure of the national federations. Now let us discuss the Federation of Unions. These are the combination of various unions for the purpose of gaining strength and solidarity. They can resort to concentrated actions when the need for such an action arises without losing the individuality. Such federations may be at the local, regional, state, national, or at the international level. These are few organizations which have local in character. For example, the National Front of Indian Trade Unions and the Coordinating Committee of Free Trade Unions are examples of this Federation of Unions. Let us discuss the types of trade unions. Based on ideology, we can classify the unions into three types. The first one is revolutionary unions. These believe in destruction of existing socio-economical order, and they want to create a new order in the society. For example, if we see in the industries like earlier form, we used to have capitalism form of industries where the capitalists are going to invest the money, own the industries or machines, and they used to simply employ the workers. And they used to make them work for longer period, and they used to simply pay them very, very less. There was exploitation. So the revolutionary people or unions, they want to remove this structure and they want to bring a socialist form of economical structure and so on. So these revolutionary unions mainly aim to shift the power and authority and by using the force and so on. So we call them as revolutionary unions. The second one is reformist or welfare unions. These unions, their main intention is to bring the change within the existing socio-political framework. Their duty is not to change the entire structure. They want to simply transform it. So we can take the example of the European model like. Then the third one is uplift unions. These unions' main aim is to advocate extension of reforms beyond the area of working conditions. For example, like they want to eliminate poverty. For that, we have to increase the incomes of the labor. At the same time, we have to change the taxation system and so on. So we call these unions as uplift unions, my dear friends. Now, let us discuss the types based on trade. Many unions have membership and jurisdiction based on the trades they represent. So these become very, very narrow. It's the membership is based on craft system or craft unions only. The members who are certified in a given craft can take the membership into into the particular union. For example, carpentry or pipe fitting and so on. If we take from our university, like we have technician unions within our university, then we have the teachers union, then we have the non-teaching union, then we have guested officers union and so on. Like, so based on the skills, based on the status people may form, then we call it as specific trade, or like we call the craft unions, my dear friends. Then we also have blue collar workers union or the white collar union and so on. Then based on the agreement, we are going to have closed shop or union shop, where management and union agree that union would have sole responsibility and authority for the recruitment of workers. We call it as closed shop. Closed shop. Then in the union shop, there is an agreement that all new recruits must join the union within a fixed period after employment. Then we call it as union shop, my dear friends. Then we have preferential shop, where union members is given preference in filling a vacancy. Such is called as preferential one. Then we have the maintenance shop. In this type arrangement, there is no compulsory membership in the union before or after recruitment. It is up to the employee whether to be a member or not, my dear friends. Then we have the agency shop. In this, we have the terms of agreement between the management and union. A non-union member has to pay the union a sum equivalent to a member subscription in order to continue in the employment with the employer. Then we call it as shop, agency shop. The last one is open shop. In this, membership in a union is on no way compulsory or obligatory, either before or after recruitment. Then we call it as open shop. So based on the types of agreement, we have all these things. Now let us discuss about the functions of trade unions. The first function is militant function. Militant or protective or intra-mutual functions are going to protect the interests of the workers. Like it may be like wages, paying the wages on time, or increasing the wages, providing benefits, providing job security for the employees through collective bargaining or direct action such as strikes, garrows, and so on. These activities will be performed by the trade unions for the betterment of the position of the employees in relation with the employment. So people may go use the tactics like collective bargaining, or negotiation. And sometimes they may also use the tactics like go slow method. That means they will go to the office, they'll do they will do the signature, they'll attend to the office, and they will go to the machine, but they will not work effectively. They'll work slowly so that the production will not be on pace of the regular activity. Sometimes they may simply boycott and they may go on strike, pen down strike. You must have seen when Telangana station was going on, people have gone for pen down strike. They used to do the signature, they used to be in the office, but they did not perform the work. Whereas in the industries, we have tools down strike. They were in the job, were in the workplace, but they did not perform the job, my dear friends. So we have different type of strikes, my dear friends. Strain strike, cat strike, and so on. Or else they can boycott from working. They may gare out the officers from going and doing their work, and so on. So these will be the tactics used by the militant functions. So the militant functions' main aim is to achieve higher wages, improve the conditions, raise the standard of workers, and also to protect the laborers against victimization and to provide justice, my dear friends. Besides this, we also have fraternal functions. First one is militant functions. The next one is fraternal functions. The fraternal or extramural functions include providing financial as well as non-financial assistance to the workers during the period of strikes or lockouts or extension of medical facilities at the time of casualty, provision of education, recreational and housing facilities, and so on, my dear friends. So all this comes under fraternal functions. We must have seen at the time of strikes, people may say no work, no pay. So at the time, the people may suffer. So at the time, these people may go on these strikes, fraternal strikes, so that the management may come down and provide the wages during the strike period or during the period of lockout so that these people can satisfy the requirements back at home. And besides these two functions, they also take up different functions like helping its members at the time of need and improving their efficiency. They try to foster the spirit of cooperation and promote efficiency within the organization. They provide friendly industrial relations within the organization. Now, let us discuss the aims of fraternal functions. Take up welfare activities, they generate self-confidence and discipline among the individuals, encourage sincerity among the individuals, to provide opportunities for promotion and growth of the employees, and to protect women workers against any form of discrimination. The next one is political functions. These functions include affiliating the unions with the political party and helping the political parties in enrolling the members, collecting donations, seeking the help of political parties at the time of strike so that they can build up the pressure on the management and they can get their demands fulfilled. So we call these as political functions. And the last one is social functions. These functions may include carrying out social service activities, discharging social responsibilities through various sections of the society, like educating the customers and so on. So these are the four types of functions performed by the trade unions. Now let us discuss about the measures to strengthen trade unions. There are certain things, measures to be taken to minimize the trade union problems as well as to strengthen the trade unions. The first one is United Labor Front. Unions must have a joint front. Multiple unions are going to disintegrate the energies, and they are going to dilute the power and reduce the effectiveness because they are already divided themselves based on certain ideologies, based on certain interests also, and so, my dear friends. And this becomes the biggest weapon for the management. So our duty is to ensure that there are very, very limited trade unions so that there can be unity, they can show their strength whenever they need within the organization, my dear friends. The next one is we need to have efficient leadership. Outside leadership is the main cause for the multiple problems in the trade unions, because outsiders, they do not know what exactly is the problem like. They come now and then, and in order to show their interest, they simply may come talk, and they may not work for the real benefit of these people. So for that reason, our duty is to eradicate through the development of leadership within the organization. So our duty is to nurture the skills and identify a talent among ourselves and encourage him to be the leader. So management also should, not only the employees have to organize themselves, but even the management also identify a suitable person and encourage him to lead the movement within the organization so that they can understand the structure. They can also fight for their rights and also cooperate with the management in reaching the desired goals. Then we have the membership fee. We also need to have the membership fee collected or raised from the wages of the people. When trade unions act upon for the collection of the members, it is going to show the responsibility and also going to show the commitment towards the organization. Actually, in the year 1926, when we have the Trade Union Act, at the time there was only 25 paisa collected for every month from the individuals. In the year 2001, it was 1 rupee in the rural areas per annum. In the rural areas, and 3 rupees for the workers who are working in the unorganized sector, and 12 rupees per annum in all other cases was collected. So it is going to make the organization financially healthy, so that whenever there are any meetings or anything like, they can use these financial resources for taking up the activities. And there are also other measures like the trade unions should make efforts to raise their declining membership. They have to increase the membership. So the next one is they have to reorient themselves. They have to either shift their focus or else change their ideologies, which they are going to partner for sharing the gains. Dissenting organization for accompanying organizations, set up a bureaucratic organization, that too based on democratic and service organization, and also need to have power hunger to service orientation. So these need to be the functions of the organization. And each and every trade union should be organized, which is going to give the recognition to the organizations and will also be recognized by the management too. And it must not intervene in the day-to-day matters which are going to affect the workers. Like, no trade union shall be registered unless at least 10% to 100% of the members are engaged in the establishment. A provision for filing on appeal before the industrial tribunal or labor court in any case of non-registered or for restoration of registration has been provided. All office bearers of the registered trade unions, except not more than 1/3 of the total members, like at least of 5 members or which is less, shall be persons actually engaged or employed within the industry. If there are minimum, like if the organization has 11 members, at least 5 members or at least 1/3 of the members should be the people who are working from that specific organization only. Minimum rate of subscription is fixed per 1 rupee per annum and 12 rupees in all other unorganized sectors. The employees should who have retired or have been retrenched should not be treated as outsiders. And for the promotion of civic and political interests of its members, unions are authorized to set up separate political funds. So these are the functions which are being taken up by the organization. To take care of the interests of the welfare of the people. Now let us go for workers' participation in management. Do we really require workers' participation? Why? We require workers' participation. We require workers' participation for two reasons. One is, if people are going to be a part of the decision making, people, or if they are going to involved in the planning process, everything, people will know what exactly the company is doing. It knows how much finance are invested, what kind of products are manufacturing, and what is the objective of the organization. Once they have this, then they will be able to work efficiently. At the same time, when we have this workers' participation in management, we can have a joint consultation between the management and the workers, which helps in effective decision making. So, for that reason, we are going to have the workers' participation in management, my dear friends. So, what does it exactly define? According to International Labour Organization, workers' participation is broadly taken into cover all terms of association of workers and their representativeness with the decision making process ranging from exchange of information, consultations, decisions, and negotiations to more institutionalized forms, such as the presence of workers, workers' members, or management, or supervisory boards, or even management by workers themselves. So people are going to come together, share information, or else they're going to be a part of negotiations, decision making, and so on, my dear friends. Because the main reason for the differences in perception of workers' participation is due to differential pattern of practices adopted by various countries while implementing workers' participation. This workers' participation in management is treated as a system of communication and consultation, and it can be either formal or informal, by which the workers of the organization are being kept informed about all the activities, affairs which are taking place within the organization, and also the decision making taking place within the management. According to Article 43 of the Indian Constitution, which deals with the participation of workers in management in industries, fall part 4 of the directive principles of the state policy. The state shall take steps by suitable legislation or in any other way to secure the participation of workers in the management of undertakings, establishment, or any industry. And this article was inserted by the Constitution uh, during the 42nd Amendment in the year 1976. Now let us discuss about the origin of workers' participation in management in India. This scheme was suggested by Mahatma Gandhi in the year 1920 in the textile mills of Ahmedabad. According to Mahatma Gandhi ji, he opined that both the workers and shareholders together contribute to the prosperity of the industry. Think a person has the machines, but if there are no workers, committed, sincere workers, then the capitalists cannot reach their goals. At the same time, if the management is not going to look after the welfare of the people, it may lead to fatigue, it may lead to financial crisis. So obviously, the workers cannot satisfy the requirements back at home. That means the workers will not be able to work efficiently. Remember that. So for both the reasons, Mahatma Gandhi has said that both the workers and shareholders together are going to contribute to the prosperity of the organization, therein to the nation, prosperity of the nation. So there must be a strong relationship, a friendly relationship, a relation which is based on trust and cooperation among both the employers and the employee. He was of the union that capital and labor should go together hand in hand and bring about peace and harmony within the organization. So, this year 1920 is regarded as the starting point of workers' participation in management in India. The Royal Commission in 1931 observed that the working of the Works Committee was very, very disappointing. And the same was with the working of the joint committees, which were present in the railway system too. So in the year, so the reasons for the poor performance was it may be the unorganized labor unions, or maybe the poor quality of the labor, or poor education of the workers, and so on. So in the year, the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 and the Industrial Policy of 1948 have suggested that the labor should be involved in all the matters related to industrial production. So during the first 5-year plan in the year 1951, they called for the constitution of joint committees at all levels to encourage workers' participation in management. It also gave importance to Works Committee for the settlement of differences between the workers and the management. That too on the spot for strengthening the industrial relations or for improving the industrial relations. The second 5-year plan has given more importance to the philosophy of worker management relationship, which is going to help to build a progressive state. The creation of industrial democracy is very, very important if we wish to have a socialist society. So this plan gave importance to the formation of Council of Managements consisting of representative of both the workers as well as the employers, nothing but the management. So both the parties can sit together, discuss together, and come to some consensus so that the problems can be resolved at that time only. When we have these joint management councils, they have the three functions. The first function is to fulfill its function as an advisory body. So these two, the employers and the employees both together, they can come together and they're going to give advices how to improve the functions of the organization. At the same time, because both of them are going to share the information, so the workers can talk about the problems which they are facing and what are their expectations. At the same time, the management can also provide the information, what they can do the best for the employees and so on. And the third function is to fulfill administrative responsibility. So these are the three major functions of this joint management councils. And during the third 5-year plan, it gave importance to the workers' participation for the implementation or for the establishment of industrial democracy. The fourth plan for the extension of workers' participation to public sector undertakings and emphasize that there must be a link between the organizations and the industries. In the year 1977, a high-powered committee was set up by the Government of India under the chairmanship of Rajendra Sachar. And this committee has recommended certain points in the year 1978. The first one is participation should be limited to companies which employ 1,000 or more workers. So there must be minimum 1,000 employees for us to, if we need to have this committee. The next one is the participation at the board level should be introduced if at least 51% of the workers vote in favor of such participation. If more than 51%, then only there must be participation. However, any company can voluntarily introduce this participation scheme also. The worker directors will be elected by the workers through secret ballot at the company premises. The workers directors may be from among us the workers employed by the company and not by the outsiders. For the success of this scheme, training is a must, and it shall be the responsibility of the government to organize training programs. The pressure of workers' directors on board would not lead to any breach in the confidentiality of the information. The committee will not favor a two-tier representation, that is supervisory board and the smaller management board. Since July 1975, the two-tier participation called shop councils at shop level and joint councils were introduced. A three-tier system of participation at the shop floor, plant level, and corporate or board level should be adopted. This was the recommendation of the Ravindra Verma committee in the year 1979. Legislation of workers' participation covering all undertaking employing 500 or more. Earlier committee said at least 10,000, but here it says that any undertaking which is going to employ 500 or more, whether public or private, we need to have this workers' participation. And there should be a provision for extending the scheme to units employing at least 100 workers also. And the representatives will be selected using secret ballot. Not less than 10% of the new shares to be issued in future by the company should be reserved exclusively for the workers of the company in India through the concept of participative management, which is supported in principle by all the political parties, governments, and even the management. That's the reason if we see if there are any shares, some of the shares are even allocated to the employers. You can see the people, for example, Reliance company has done it, and a lot of workers have become lakpatis day and night. And if you go DMart, do you know what they have done? For every year, if any employee is working in an organization, in that organization for a specific years, they have given at least 2 or 10 shares per year. 2 shares per year, 10 years of service, so he got 20. And right now you can see the value of the share. Even people have become lakpatis, my dear friends. So this was the recommendations given by the Ravindra Verma committee set up by the Janata government in the year 1977 and the recommendations given in the year 1979. Now let us discuss about the objectives of workers' participation. There are 3 major objectives which were envisaged during the second 5-year plan in India. The first one is we want participation not to fight with each other, but to have cooperation so that we can increase the productivity of the organization. That is the first benefit. That's it. So once the organization is being benefited, even there is a win-win situation. Both the profits can also be shared with the employees too. Then we have satisfaction of workers' urge for self-expression in the matters of enterprise management. If there will not be any, what will happen? You can say that why we have to look after the satisfaction of the workers. You must have seen when Britishers were ruling India, at the time, a lot of Indian people have joined the British Army and they were loyal to the British Army too. And they killed their own people on the command given by the Britishers too. You must have seen Jallianwala Bagh. You have seen a lot of cases too in India. But do you know what made the Indians who were part of the British Army to revolt against Britishers? Because they have made the cartridge using the fat of cow and pig. And the Indians who are Hindus and Muslims who joined the British Army, eating the fat of pig or eating the cow was against their ideology or philosophy, which made them, because their sentiments were hurted. So that's the reason why they started revolting against the Britishers, and that was the first freedom revolt which took place in the Indian society. So even within the organization, if people are not happy, if they're not satisfied, then they may not work efficiently. So the objectives of the organization may not be fulfilled. Remember that. So our duty is to satisfy the workers. That the third one is making employees better understand their roles in the organization. If the employees do not know what is their role to be performed, then they will not work efficiently. And the last one is the objectives of the workers' participation and management is to achieve organizational effectiveness and satisfaction of employees, effective growth as well as satisfaction of employees. Now let us discuss about the factors which are going to govern the objectives of workers' participation. The first one is to prevent workers from exploitation, to have democracy within the organization, because even we have joint organizations, so that both the parties from employees and employees sit together and they're going to discuss on the matters, and to have proper development of the working class, to resolve differences and conflicts between the employees and employees, to create employees a sense of participation and responsibility, to encourage, to give suggestions to the employers, to improve the working and living conditions of the employees, to promote better understanding between labor and management, and also to give employees a better understanding on the role and the working conditions within the industry, and to give the employees an opportunity to express themselves, so that we can maintain peaceful, good relations, which further increases the cooperation. These are the main purposes of having this. Now, let us discuss the levels of participation. We can have the participation at the information level. So we call it as information participation level. Then we have associative participation level. We have consultative participation level, administrative participation level, and decisive participation level, my dear friends. Now, let us discuss the forms of workers' participation in management. So the first one is Works Committee. This was started in India because of the recommendations of Industrial Dispute Act of 1947. This act stated that if there is any industry with more or 100 people, then there must be at least one general or specific order to constitute a works committee consisting of representatives from both the works employees and the worksmen. The objective is to simply maintain the cordial relations within the industry. Then we have the joint management councils. We call it it is for industrial planning. They will discuss the issues like lighting, ventilation, temperature, sanitation, drinking water facility, canteens, restrooms, and so on, my dear friends. Their main duty is to increase the productivity, ensure social welfare activities, train the workers, and so on. Then we have the joint councils. Wherever there are minimum 100 people working, there we are going to have a joint council. And the joint council will be having for a tenure of 2 years. They will meet at least once in a quarter, or at least twice in a year. And they are going to make the joint decisions, and they'll be implemented in the organization. Then we have the joint production committees. This consists of equal number of representatives from both the management as well as unions. They are going to have certain functions like they study operational results, and they try to address the problems which are facing within the industry or within the departments. They give advice to the management to promote and rationalize production, to improve the methods of production and productivity, to reduce cost and improve the quality of the products, to improve uh, the machinery within the organization, to improve efficient use and safety devices, and so on. We also have unit councils, which were formed in the year 1977. We find this in the railway ports, docks, banks, insurance companies, and so on. Wherever there are 100 people, these unit councils will be formed. They are trying to find the solutions to the day-to-day problems which are happening within the units of parties. Then we have the plant councils, which are formed in the public undertakings, central public undertakings, and they are going to make the decisions to that within the industry. The tenure is for 3 years. Every quarterly, they are going to meet and they are going to address all the issues, my dear friends. We have shop councils, and then we have the workers' representative in board of management too, which was recommended based on Administrative Reform Commission in the year 1966. So, if there are 51% of the workers who have voted in favor of the participation within the company, will be on the board of the management, my dear friends. Then we also have workers' participation in share capital. So, how to make this workers' participation more effective? We need to have a complete agreement and clarity of what we are doing in between both the parties. Whenever there is a conflict, we need to have certain methods to address that. We need to have a wholehearted cooperation between the employees and employees. They should give all the things publicly. There must not be any hidden agenda. Profit should be shared. They should be motivated. Have faith in the efficiency of the schemes. Participation should be real. They should have both the people should make strategies for the development of the organizations and should give scope for collective bargaining and so on. There should be clarity. So when we have clarity at the time, the organization can prosper and both the employers and employees can be benefited out of it, my dear friends. Okay, today we have discussed about the trade union movement in India and also discussed the importance of collective bargaining or participation in decision making within the industry or in management. If you have any doubts, you are free to ask, or else we'll conclude for the day. So thank you. Have a nice day.